we rise, humbly hearted rise, won't be divided rise, with Spirit to guide us rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In a hope, in prayer, we're right here. In a hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here, and we rise. All of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In a hope, in prayer, we're right here. In a hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here, and we rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise fighting for life. We rise in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here, and we rise, humbly hearted rise, won't be divided rise, with Spirit to guide us rise.
Welcome to United First Parish Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, welcome to our Unitarian Universalist spiritual community. Hi, I'm Joan McDonald, Director of Religious Education. We are going to light our chalice today with these words. Here is a chalice. It's the most recent one I made, although it has some flaws from the firing. It was supposed to be a brighter color green. And our chalice words are this: to remember how we can live, to remember who we are, to create how we will be, we light this chalice. And maybe you remember our covenant, the agreement that members and friends of United First Parish Church say when we are together in worship, whether it's virtually or in person. And this is our covenant. As a free fellowship of this historic church, We unite to lift our hearts and open our minds to a larger reality, to accept, support, and encourage one another, to seek the wisdom in all religions, to cherish and sustain the web of life, and to strive for justice, compassion, and peace. So next, I would like to share the music by Leah Morris called "I Am Listening." Since today we are kind of talking about paying attention to ourselves, paying attention to other people, and I thought that this would be a good song to hear again.
I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My hands are wide open, eyes are wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me.
Today, I want to share a special story, and the title is Just Ask, Be Different, Be Brave, Be You. And it's written by Sonia Sotomayor, and it's illustrated by Rafael Lopez. Just ask. Hi, I'm Sonia. My friends and I are planting a garden. Gardens are magical places. Thousands of plants bloom together, but every flower, every berry, and every leaf is different. Each has a different smell, different color, different shape, and different purpose. Some flowers need lots of sunlight. Others thrive in the shade. Some have to be trimmed regularly, while others are better off left alone. Some trees and flowers are more fragile, and others are more hardy. Kids are all different too. Some of us are in a hurry, and others take more time. Some of us seem shy and quiet, while others are chatty and loud. Some of our differences are easy to spot. Others take longer to notice. Each of us grows in our own way. So if you are curious about other kids, just ask. Not everyone is comfortable answering questions about themselves, but I don't mind. What am I doing? Several times a day, I prick my finger to measure the sugar in my blood, and I give myself shots of medicine called insulin. I do this because I have diabetes, and my body doesn't make insulin naturally like other people's. Even though this can sometimes hurt, I gather all of my courage to do it to be healthy. Do you ever need to take medicine to be healthy? I do. My name is Raphael, and I have asthma, which means I sometimes have trouble breathing. When that happens, I take a break and use an inhaler with medicine to make breathing easier. Quiet times help me slow down and catch my breath. My inhaler is like a tool to help my body. Do you use a tool to help your body? I'm Anthony, and I use a wheelchair to get around. Even though I can't run with my legs, I can go super fast. How do you get from place to place? My name is Madison, and my guide dog Lucky helps me get places safely because I'm blind. My friend Arturo is blind too. He uses a cane to get around. Even though we can't see, we strengthen our other senses and notice lots of details others may miss. We can hear with our ears, smell with our noses, and feel with our hands. How do you use your senses? I'm VJ. I learn about the world differently because I can see, but I can't hear. I'm deaf. Some of the time, I communicate with people using my face and hands through sign language. It's cool to know another language. I also love reading and writing. What about you? I'm Bianca, and I have dyslexia, so I have to work really hard and take my time when I'm reading and writing words. Sometimes I use computer programs to help me. I love learning by doing things. My imagination is full of ideas, and I'm very good at making art from the pictures I see in my mind. Are you really good at something? I'm great at dinosaurs. I know all about them. I'm Jordan, and I have autism. Organizing and counting all my toy dinosaurs again and again makes me feel calm. My classmate Tiana also has autism, but it's different for her. She doesn't talk, but I like to talk. I especially like to talk about dinosaurs. What do you like to talk about? For me, listening comes more easily than talking, and I'm a really good listener. My name is Anna, and I speak with a stutter, so I sometimes repeat a word or get stuck when I try and say it. It may take me a little longer to express myself, and sometimes I'm too shy to talk, but I understand everything that's going on. Do you ever wonder if people understand you? I do. My name is Julia. Sometimes I wiggle or make sounds that I can't control because I have Tourette's syndrome. People may look at me funny because they think I'm not paying attention or just acting out. But it's not true. I'm listening. I don't always like having to explain. It frustrates me, but it helps when I tell people that it's just what my body does. Do you ever feel frustrated? My name is Manuel, and I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's also called ADHD. I can get frustrated when I really feel the need to move around, even though I'm supposed to sit still. When my teachers and friends are patient with me, if I forget something or get distracted, I can get myself back on track. What's helpful to you? I'm Nolan, and it's helpful to me when the food I eat has a clear label that says it is nut-free because I'm allergic to nuts. They can make me so sick that I would have to go to the hospital if I ate any, even by accident. So I always tell people about my allergy and ask if any food has nut ingredients. Speaking up keeps me healthy. How do you use your voice? I love to sing and I love to talk. I love to make new friends and be included. I am Grace. I was born with Down syndrome. Kids like me with Down syndrome have an extra building block called a chromosome in our bodies. But we are all different from each other too. I can do almost anything any other kid can do, though learning new things can take some time. One way I learn is to ask questions. What helps you learn? It's me, Sonia, again. I ask questions too. When something seems different or new, I just ask my parents or my teacher, and they help me to understand, especially if my friends don't feel ready to explain. This is what I've learned. Imagine if all of the plants in this garden were exactly the same. Like, what if we could only grow peas? That would mean no strawberries or cucumbers or carrots. It might also mean no trees or roses or sunflowers. Just like in our garden, all the ways we are different make our neighborhood, our whole world, really more interesting and fun. And just like all of these plants, each of us has unique powers to share with the world and make it more interesting and richer. What will you do with your powers? So one thing I didn't tell you about this story is that the author, Sonia Sotomayor, has a very important job in our country. And even though she's an author of a children's book, her main work is she's a Supreme Court Justice for the United States. And she helps make decisions about laws that affect everybody in the United States. So she's got a very important job. But when she wrote this book, she wanted to share what it felt like when she was growing up. She has diabetes, and so she has to check the blood sugar level in her body on a regular basis, and also give herself insulin when things are not going correctly with her body. And she thought about how different she felt when she was growing up. And sometimes, most of the time, kids were afraid to ask, like, why are you doing that, or what's wrong? And she wanted to encourage kids to ask questions and not be afraid to ask questions when you're curious about something and you're trying to understand why somebody might be different. And we all have differences. And this book shares some of the challenges that many kids have, and how strong and courageous and determined they are with those challenges to succeed in what they do. One of the things I really loved about this book, and if you think about it, every time you turn, right before you turn the page, there was always a question. So she started it with, do you ever need medicine to keep you healthy? And when I think about that, I think about the vaccines that we're all waiting to have so that we can stay healthy from COVID. I'm going to have my vaccine later this week. And so that's taking medicine to keep me healthy and other people healthy, so I don't get sick and I don't pass it on to anybody else. Some of the other questions were, what kind of tools do you use to help your body? And one of the little boys mentioned using an inhaler because he had asthma. Another was using a wheelchair because they needed a wheelchair to get around. Then there were questions about, like, how do you use your senses, your smell, your taste, your eye, what you see, how you feel things. How does that help you make sense of the world and do things? Other questions were, like, what do you love to do? And what are you really good at? What are you really good at? What is something that is like your skill? And one of those was the girl who making art was really important to her, and she was very talented in that. What do you like to talk about? Do you ever wonder if people understand you? That's probably a really good question to ask yourself, and maybe ask your parents. Do you ever feel frustrated when something doesn't go right? That happens a lot with me. Sometimes I'll be working on something and it just doesn't come out the way you want it to. Sometimes it breaks. These kind of things can be frustrating. What makes you different, what you're really good at, that could be like your superpower, right? So what is your superpower and how do you use it? Whether it's being creative, whether it's being a fast runner or a great jumper, a good reader, maybe somebody who's really curious and likes to discover things. Those things can be your superpower. So what would you use your superpower for? And as we end our time together, we'll extinguish this chalice. And maybe you'll think about your superpower and what that is and how you can use it for good. And as we extinguish this chalice, so in this case, we're turning it off. But think about the flame that is inside of you that is filled with everything that is great about you, and whatever that superpower is, what you're good at, what you're great at. Maybe it's you just carry that inside of you till we meet next time. And maybe you can share it with me when we meet again in person.
Until